I'm standing in the church behind the organ, which is someplace very few people get to see. So I thought it might be interesting. This here is the side on the pulpit. I have very limited space to walk around in here, but those are the pipes that face toward the center. There is our stained glass cross, which you can see a part of it there. So this side is the grate, or the sometimes called the grand orgue. This contains the fullest and loudest stops in the organ. But first we'll start the tour down here. Inside this box is the blower that supplies the air to the organ. I'm going to squeeze under here. It's a very tight fit, but there's a little flap here that regulates the air a little bit, and inside there you can see the blower. As I said, it's a tight fit, so I can't really show you the whole thing. That was replaced just a couple of years ago because the original was slightly underwinded, and when we added the ranks into the organ, the problem got worse, so we had to put a stronger blower in. So there's a short ladder here, which I will climb up on in a second. Get the door. This is how the tuners get to the pipes. So these are the pipes of the grate division, which is the lower manual on this organ. These are the high-pitched ones, and it moves all the way down to the low pitch. These are very hard for me to get into to show you a good picture, but there are about 10 ranks here. So there's 10 rows of pipes. These conical looking ones right here are the trumpets. So you can see they're a little bit different. The sound actually comes out of the top of those. And those little wires down there are the tuning rods. So they just tap it up or down to bring it back into pitch. Otherwise, all of the rest of them look like the normal organ pipe like you see in the front of the case. So when somebody once asked me how many pipes are in this organ, and I told them 1,500, they couldn't believe it. Well, here you can see, and this is just one of the 3 divisions. The ones with the red bands around the top, that's the flute, the 8-foot flute. And that's actually a cap that is raised or lowered to tune. And the principals have tuning sleeves, which is those shinier looking cylinders that cover the pipes. And those big ones, those are the 3 largest pipes on the far side of the organ, not the center, but the far side to the outer edge. And there's the middle part, which is right below that triple circle that we see from the front. These back here are the mixtures. So for each note, everything lines up in columns, more or less. So there are 3 notes per. So when this note is played, these 3 pipes all sound. This is a 2-rank mixture, and the rest of them all are 1 pipe per note. So that's why there's so many, because there's 61 keys on the manual. So close that back up. On the other side, well, first of all, here's the wind lines that run to the other tower. So there's only 1 blower that supplies air to the entire organ. I don't know why there's a folding chair here, but that's been up here ever since I've been coming up here. And of course, there's the rest of the sanctuary. So as I said, on the pulpit side tower, that's just the grate. Up at the top, those are the first 6 notes of the 8-foot principal. And right behind those are 12 wooden pipes, which are the first 16 notes of the 16-foot flute in the pedal. On this side over here, the lower part, this is the choir division, or in our organ it's spelled chor, C-H-O-R, which is German for choir. And contrary to popular belief, it's not because it's by the choir, but because it's a softer manual. Generally, organs that have 2 manuals like ours have a swell and a grate, and the swell is enclosed with shades like this division is. So again, here's the back row, which is a 3-rank mixture again. So that means there's This one's a little easier to see. There's 3 notes per key when this stop is drawn. I'm going to switch sides here because it's a little easier to see from over here where the higher end of the pipes are. This is another reed similar to the trumpet that was on the other side, but notice that the resonator is cylindrical. And again, here are the tuning rods, which those move up or down. This is a thin scaled sound, a very thin sound. I call it a trumpet on or an oboe with a thyroid condition. But it blends very nicely with other stops, and it can make a clarinet sound almost with it. In front of those are some more principal pipes. Again, another 8-foot flute with the red bands around them. A little easier to see on this side because I can get closer. And again, those are caps. And the hole in the top creates a special harmonic, which gives it its distinctive sound. It's a very mellow sound, but those are actually inverted chimneys. Some pipe makers make those chimneys on the outside so they look like little tubes sticking up out of the top, but they've chose to make them go down into the pipe. And that's how they tune those. This front rank is called a Gemshorn. And that is actually a hybrid between a string, which is a very thin pipe, which we don't have any in this organ, and a flute. This is the rank we just put in a couple of years ago. And because of the wind mechanism for the pedal, this is the underside of the pedal chest, that's a regulator, which has a spring on it, and that moves up or down and keeps a steady wind supply to the chest while the notes are being played. But because of that, we had to miter the first note. So that's why that's bent over. But it doesn't matter because the length is still there. It's still a 4-foot pipe. But that's the only one we had to move. As you can see, the other one is pretty close, but it fit. But that one would have run right into that wood right above it. Now, as I mentioned, it's an enclosed division. It's called the choir. In most organs it would be a swell, and that's because of these wooden slats that you see. I'm going to reach across carefully and notice that they now are closed. Kind of hard to see on my screen here. But this is the only way we can control volume. The pipes make the sounds that they make at the volume that they're set at the factory, and then they're inside of this box called a swell box. And with a control with my foot, I can open and close these shades to decrease the sound. You can sometimes see those from the pews. And again, there's the 3 pipes, which are on it would be your far left when you're looking at the organ. Above this would be the Zimbelstern, star. And these are the swell pipes. Now I have to climb a tall ladder to go to the pedal, so I think I'm going to stop this video and I'll create another one to show you the pedal division. But before I do that, I'm always amazed how much space is up here. This is the big window behind the cross, and again, there's the stained glass cross, which is very tall. And from the voice of experience, I've hit my head on this point here. It's very painful. It comes right about to my forehead when I'm standing there. This is, if you remember my video with the mice, this is the relay in that box there. You see the pink wires going into it. So the wires come up from the console through the floor and up into the sacristy, and then they come up here through the closet. And this is where there's a bunch of control cards, and the circuits then disperse out to the wind chest. The wind chest is what the pipes sit on. And behind, or underneath those rather, if I were to take this wood off, which I'm not going to do, but you would be able to see the magnets which pull down the pallet to let air into the channel, because each one of these is set in a channel straight across. So whatever note that happens to be, whatever key that key is pressed, whichever stops are pulled, that's the note that will sound all the way across. So if I pulled out every single stop and pressed that key, all the pipes in that column would speak. When we speak of ranks, that's going left to right. So down at the bottom is the lowest note on the keyboard, and all the way up to the top notes on the keyboard. So you notice they're arranged in rows. Those are called ranks. So all those notes, like in the reed here, the tall ones that we're looking at, those all have a similar sound, but they change in pitch as they go up. Now these top ones up here, you'll notice, are flue pipes, because I guess they can't make them any smaller than that. So the trumpet had the same kind of thing. They create it harmonically. It's a very close match, actually, when you get up to that height of pitch. So that's how we access up here. It's kind of a perilous climb if you're not careful. You see the ladder down below in the sacristy. That's where the altar guild prepares communion every week. And I'm going to carefully step over just to show you how big those big center pipes really are. And those were replaced in 2001 because the metal was too soft on the originals. So they've got a little bit different tint to them right now, but eventually they'll catch up to their older cousins and take on that same kind of, I don't know if you consider it a tarnish or not. This is very high up, as you can see. There's the altar and the choir loft with the console. So the pedal division is above the choir division, which again, here's the large pipes in the pedal. And those are the first, that's actually number 13 through 16 there in the 16-foot principle on the pedal, which is shared by the 8-foot stop as well. And if we could see it, right around these pipes would be the star for the cymbal stern, but I'm not Spider-Man, so I can't get over there. So where I'm going to go next is up this very tall ladder, up onto this very perilous ledge, and there's the pipes where the pedal would be. So I will show you those in just a moment in a different video.